international trade.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Mr. Speaker, it's an honour to rise in this House on the subject of the debate before us on how to structure the meetings of Parliament going forward in the midst of this pandemic. I am sure that I do not need to remind the members of this House of the extraordinary times in which we are living, and that as we deliberate on how we will continue to meet, that we must be mindful of the example that we are setting for Canadians and on the message that we are communicating. Before I begin the substance of my remarks today, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation for the excellent work undertaken by the Clerk of the House and, of course, by the entire administration for giving us the options for how we can continue to meet and conduct business during COVID-19. Nul besoin de rappeler que nous vivons une période extraordinaire. Avant de commencer la substance de mes remarques, j'aimerais tout d'abord adresser mes plus sincères remerciements aux membres de la sécurité, de l'administration et à tout le personnel de la Chambre. Ceux-ci se joignent aux centaines de milliers de Canadiens qui continuent à travailler dans nos secteurs essentiels, que ce soit dans nos CHSLD, nos dépanneurs, nos pharmacies ou nos hôpitaux. Leur dévouement permet de continuer à faire rouler notre société. Turning now to the debate at hand on the next steps for our sittings going forward, I must admit that I find myself a bit puzzled by the arguments coming from my colleagues across the aisle. Allow me to once again clarify for Canadians that members of Parliament are meeting, that ministers are being held to account, are answering questions, that over 300 questions, in fact, were asked by members and answered by the government in a period of just 3 days, Mr. Speaker. By comparison, in normal times, when the House sits for 5 days, members are able to ask an average of approximately 190 questions. But over the course of the debate yesterday on the motion before us, I have come to understand that actually the accountability that has existed and that would certainly continue to exist under the proposal before the House is not the problem for the Conservatives. Rather, the Conservatives are arguing that members of Parliament need to be sitting in their seats under all of the normal rules in order to feel that they are working. I am a relatively new member of Parliament. I was elected just over a year ago, so perhaps I see things rather differently from my colleagues. For me, there is nothing more important than the work that I do in my riding serving my constituents. I, and I am sure many others in this chamber, have been working 24/7, literally 7 days a week, literally from the very early morning until the very early morning the following day. And whether I am speaking to seniors in long-term care homes who are concerned about their health and safety, or people who would like to understand how to access the emergency benefit of $2,000 a month that over 8 million Canadians have applied for and received, to the mothers that called me for help in order to bring their children home from overseas while on exchange, to students themselves who are reaching out to their members of Parliament for the very first time in order to discuss the measures we've put in place to support them and the jobs that might be available to them this summer. This is important work, Mr. Speaker. How important is it that charitable and not-for-profit organizations serving our vulnerable communities, literally putting food on the tables of families that need it, receive government funding? It is critical, Mr. Speaker, and we are there to support them. À maintes reprises, Monsieur le Président, nos organismes locaux, que ce soit notre cafétéria communautaire Multicaf à Côte-des-Neiges, le refuge Le Chaînon qui vient en aide aux femmes vulnérables, la mission Myland qui offre à manger aux résidents dans l'est de mon comté, Sun Youth qui fait un travail colossal afin de livrer de la nourriture à travers Montréal et bien d'autres. Je travaille sans relâche pour épauler nos organismes de bienfaisance à Outremont, Côte-des-Neiges et dans le Myland. On assiste à des choses extraordinaires, Monsieur le Président. Il y a même des nouveaux organismes qui apparaissent en réponse à la crise actuelle. Et le travail d'un député est de les appuyer. À Outremont, la Fondation COVID-19 fait un travail extraordinaire pour soutenir nos résidents âgés et vulnérables. Cette magnifique équipe constituée de bénévoles de quartier a déjà effectué des centaines et des centaines de livraisons d'épicerie et de médicaments. As Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Small Business, over the course of the last 10 weeks, I have spoken to thousands of entrepreneurs in my riding and across the country. They needed to speak to someone in government. They needed to have their questions answered, and I needed to hear them out. The work that we have been doing with the private sector and our business owners is what has fueled the adjustments and modifications to our support programs. And the feedback that I have been getting so far, Mr. Speaker, from all of these calls, from all of these virtual meetings is, wow. Thank you. Thank you for focusing on us. Thank you for being there. Thank you for working for us. This is what government is for. The work we do in service of Canadians in our communities is absolutely necessary, Mr. Speaker, and it is insulting to me and it is insulting to Canadians to suggest that we are not working if our bums are not in these seats. It was important for me to clarify that, Mr. Speaker, and put it on the record. Now, allow me to get into the details of what we are proposing. What we are proposing would allow us to continue this important work in our ridings. What we would propose would allow us to meet in this chamber while respecting physical distancing and other health and safety guidelines, while allowing every member from every part of this country to take part in these proceedings virtually. And which also, importantly, would allow us to continue to be accountable to opposition members and continue to answer their questions. Permettez-moi d'entrer un peu dans les détails de l'approche proposée d'un modèle hybride. Pour les députés qui sont présents physiquement à la Chambre, il n'y aura aucun changement et l'expérience sera pareille pour une séance normale. Les députés seraient en mesure d'entendre leurs collègues participants de manière virtuelle en utilisant l'oreillette et pourront les voir sur 2 écrans installés sur chaque côté du fauteuil du président. Pour les députés participant virtuellement, l'accès au débat de la Chambre se fait au travers d'une plateforme de vidéoconférence en ligne très facile à utiliser qui est intégrée dans l'infrastructure et les systèmes préexistants de la Chambre des communes. Quand les députés participent par vidéoconférence, ils seront en mesure d'assister aux affaires se déroulant dans la Chambre lorsque les autres députés ont la parole. Ils auront aussi accès à une vidéo de leurs collègues participant virtuellement. En tout temps, tous les députés auront accès à la traduction simultanée et tous les députés, y compris ceux par vidéoconférence, pourront s'adresser à la Chambre pendant les débats ou faire un appel au règlement. Après que le modèle des séances hybrides de la Chambre ait été établi, l'administration de la Chambre a effectué une simulation de déroulement du débat et les résultats étaient excellents. En conséquence, le président de la Chambre a écrit aux leaders de la Chambre pour les aviser que le modèle hybride pouvait être utilisé. In developing a hybrid model of sittings, House administration were able to review different approaches other legislatures in Canada and around the world have adopted to take into account the challenges posed by this pandemic while ensuring urgent parliamentary business is attended to, Mr. Speaker. More specifically, the administration consulted 30 parliaments and collaborated closely with several legislatures that have similar requirements. This included testing solutions and sharing operational strategies, experiences, and results daily. In addition to working with other legislatures, the administration also conducted extensive independent market research and worked with industry leaders and international national security partners. In working with these partners, the administration set a goal of ensuring that the broadcast production of a sitting is seamless and that the public coverage continues to be of excellent quality. This is the proposal that we are putting forward, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Comments, questions et commentaires. The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member across the way, she talked about a compartmentalization of her job, that somehow her constituency work was more important than the work being done here on Parliament Hill in the House of Commons. I'd like to suggest that actually both are important, and that actually to disregard this place or to give this place a space of less importance is actually to misunderstand the fundamental role of Parliament. You see, Mr. Speaker, there are 338 of us in this House, and we were all elected by our constituents to be their voice here. And when we cease to show up for work here, then they cease to get their voice to Canada's Parliament. And this is a problem, Mr. Speaker. When their voices don't make it here, it means that those people, those Canadians who put their trust in us to represent them, when we fail to show up in this place and engage in important discussion, engage in necessary debate, we actually squelch their voice. So to say that you are somehow, that the member across from me is somehow doing more important work in her constituency, and therefore this place should cease to meet, is absolutely wrong. It is absolutely wrong, and it is a fundamental misunderstanding of what this place stands for. Mr. Speaker, I would like to present the member opposite of me that actually we go into our constituencies in order to listen to our constituents, in order to understand their stories and their experiences, so that they might inform the debate that takes place here and the decisions that come forward from this place. If we do not take the time to do that, then we are in fact misrepresenting them, and that is a shame. But if we also do not take the time to bring their voices here, that is equally a shame.
Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to clarify that I was responding directly to a comment from the Conservatives to the effect that we are not working if we are not in this place. We are always working. Through the summer, through constituency weeks, we are always working. I would also like to signal that I am here in this chamber representing my constituents in this place. This place is extremely important to me, and I will continue to sit in this place as long as we are able to do so safely and effectively. The proposal that the government is putting forward is in order to continue to sit in this House, to represent our constituents in this House, but it is a proposal that does so safely and that provides an example to Canadians on how we can continue to conduct our work.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. The honourable member for Lac-Saint-Louis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been sitting here for a couple of days, and it sure feels like Parliament to me. But I've heard many times, I've heard mixed signals from the other side, and I just would like the member to comment in order to clarify for the people at home, because I hear from the other side that everyone must be here. Though that was the word I heard. Everyone must be here. But then they say, well, no, we didn't mean all 338. I heard here 2 minutes ago. Did the member not hear here?
Parliamentary Secretary.
What the government is proposing is that we continue to sit in limited numbers, respecting social distancing and respecting all health and safety guidelines.
I'm just going to disrupt the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. There seems to be some chatter. You know, you can cross the floor and discuss things much quieter than shouting across the floor while somebody else is trying to speak. I just want to indicate that. The Honourable, point of order, the Honourable member for London, Middlesex, London.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I fully respect what you're saying, but I'm questioning when a question is put forward that is absolutely misleading the House, indicating that we have said in this House that we want 338 members of Parliament, and we well know that not a single member of our party has said that. Why can a question...
I believe that's more getting into a debate. So I think it was brought up. We'll leave it at that, but we'll go back to the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
I think that my colleague's question raises perhaps an underlying question of how do the members opposite expect us to vote if we are unable to vote virtually? And perhaps my colleagues would care to comment on that, and also to comment on what exactly is the problem with the proposal put forward by the government. Is the only thing missing that they are unable to have opposition days? Because from what I am seeing, the accountability is there in our proposal, and opportunity is there for questions to be posed to government.
Resuming